that feeling of your chest tightening. Maybe your mind racing with worries you just can't quite shake.
Mm-hmm.
If that sounds familiar to you, well, you are definitely not alone.
No, absolutely not.
Since the pandemic, the World Health Organization reported this uh, really significant global jump, like 25% in anxiety levels.
25%.
Yeah, and it's still a real challenge for so many of us, whether it's feeling, uneasy in social situations or just that kind of constant hum of worry in the background.
And that's exactly what we're diving into today, really unpacking it. We'll be looking at the connections between anxiety and related experiences, and we're drawing from a really insightful conversation
Yeah, it was great.
with the psychiatrist, Dr. Tracy Marks, on the Mel Robbins podcast.
Dr. Marks, yeah, she brings just a wealth of knowledge. I mean, we're talking Duke undergrad,
That's it.
University of Florida College of Medicine, psychiatry residency at New York Presbyterian.
Right. Impressive background.
Totally. And she's been a practicing psychiatrist for, over 25 years, specializing in anxiety, ADHD, mood disorders.
And she wrote, Why Am I So Anxious? Right.
The bestseller.
That's the one. Full of really practical stuff. Plus, her YouTube channel. Huge. Over 2 million subscribers. She just has this way of making complex things feel, well, understandable.
Yeah, she really does. And our goal today, kind of inspired by her core message, is to share some straightforward behaviors, some habits that can genuinely make a difference for you. Improve your well-being, give you a bit more, agency over your mental health. And one of the most hopeful things she says is that your brain can change. It's changeable.
Absolutely. So, yeah, in this deep dive, we're starting with just getting a clearer picture of what anxiety actually is.
Okay.
And we'll explore how it might link up with things like ADHD, maybe other symptoms you haven't really thought about. And importantly, give you some practical tools, things you can start using like right away to manage it better.
And it's important, I think, to think about the context, the world we're in now. Dr. Marks really highlighted that rise in anxiety, and she connected it possibly to our always-on digital world.
Oh, for sure. The 24/7 news cycle, social media comparisons, just the sheer amount of information hitting us constantly.
It really does feel like our brains are just in constant overdrive sometimes.
Yeah.
And Dr. Marks points out, and this is key, anxiety isn't just in your head. It's a full body thing.
That's so true. The head symptoms, okay, that's the worrying, the fear, maybe being super concerned about what others think.
Right.
But then there are those very real physical feelings. That's your body's sympathetic nervous system kicking in the whole fight or flight deal.
So like a racing heart, stomach issue.
Exactly. Racing heart, GI problems are huge. Even just muscle tension, feeling tense all over.
It's interesting you mentioned the muscle tension. She talked about how you can sit all day, literally sit, and still feel wiped out because your muscles have been clenched without you even noticing. I've definitely had days like that.
Oh, me too. And Dr. Marks even shared, her own experience with performance anxiety, how it hits her physically dry mouth, feeling self-conscious.
Right.
It's a good reminder, isn't it? Even experts experience this stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, okay, anxiety isn't all bad, is it? She did mention that, a little bit can be useful.
That's true. Like that little nudge to get planning done or prepare for something. It becomes a problem, though, when it's overwhelming, when it starts messing with your daily life, your functioning.
Okay.
And she made this really key point. You might not always be able to stop that initial wave of anxiety.
Right. That first hit.
Yeah. But you do have power over what happens next. Stopping the downward spiral, the rumination, the imagining worst-case scenarios.
And this is where she introduced that concept.
Yeah.
Interoceptive exposure. I hadn't really heard that term before.
Yeah, interoceptive exposure. It sounds a bit technical, but the idea is basically about disconnecting physical sensations from being anxiety-provoking in themselves.
Okay, so your heart races, you immediately think panic attack.
Exactly. Sometimes people start fearing the physical feelings of anxiety, that flutter in the stomach, the faster heartbeat. So the idea here is the fear of the feeling itself can keep the cycle going.
Oh, okay.
So by safely, intentionally experiencing those sensations when you're not actually in danger, you can kind of break that link. You teach your brain they're not inherently threatening.
So step one is figuring out which physical feelings tend to set off your anxiety.
Precisely. Then, in a calm, safe situation, you intentionally bring on that sensation, just mildly. The aim is to build resilience and challenge that automatic negative thought.
She gave some really concrete examples, like for the racing heart feeling. She suggested doing a few jumping jacks.
Right, just to show yourself, okay, my heart's beating fast, but I'm okay. This doesn't automatically mean panic.
And for feeling nauseous or dizzy, she mentioned, spinning in a chair briefly?
Yeah, like a swivel chair, just enough to create that sensation in a controlled way so you realize, okay, I can handle this feeling. She actually has a chart in her book, Why Am I So Anxious? Page 250, apparently, with more exercises like this.
Hmm, interesting. What about that really common one, the pit in your stomach? So many people feel that.
Yeah, that feeling, it's often linked to your digestion slowing down because of stress hormones like cortisol kicking in when you're anxious.
Okay.
Dr. Marks says the first step is just recognizing it. Okay, this feeling is my anxiety manifesting physically. Then you can start using tools like breathwork maybe to manage the underlying anxiety.
And breathwork came up a lot. She explained it in terms of our nervous systems, right? The amygdala being the alarm.
Yeah, the amygdala is like the gas pedal threat detection, fight or flight. And the parasympathetic system is the brakes calming you down.
So even if the gas pedal gets slammed initially.
Right. Even after that initial whoosh from the amygdala, you still have the ability to consciously tap the brakes using that parasympathetic system.
Yeah.
So the real insight is shifting focus. It's less about preventing the anxiety from ever starting and more about controlling and modifying your reaction to it once it does.
That feels like a much more manageable goal, actually, that shift in focus. Now, what about specific phobias? She used emophobia, the fear of vomit, as an example.
Yeah, and what's really important there with phobias is that sometimes the avoidance behaviors people develop.
Like avoiding places they think they might get sick.
Exactly. That avoidance can become a bigger problem than the actual phobia. It can make their world smaller and actually create more anxiety.
That totally makes sense. And you can see how that applies to social anxiety too, right? Avoiding parties or meetings just reinforces the fear.
Absolutely. It leads to isolation, which just feeds the anxiety. And Dr. Marks did a good job clarifying the difference between shyness, introversion, and social anxiety. People mix those up all the time.
Yeah, I think I do sometimes. So introversion.
Introversion is just about where you get your energy from. Introverts tend to recharge by being alone, whereas extroverts get energy from being around people. It doesn't automatically mean an introvert is anxious around others.
Right. So you could be introverted, but perfectly fine socially, just need downtime later.
Precisely. Social anxiety, though, that's an actual anxiety disorder. It's characterized by this intense preoccupation with being judged negatively by others,
Leading to avoidance.
and performance anxiety, like being terrified of speaking in meetings. That's often a component of social anxiety.
She painted a picture of walking into a party with social anxiety, yet the feeling that everyone's watching you, judging you, thinking negative things.
Yeah, like your inner critic is just on hyperdrive, assuming the worst.
So how do you manage that?
Well, she talked about long-term strategies and in-the-moment stuff. Long-term, it's about working on your mindset, challenging those negative self-beliefs, realizing, not everything revolves around you.
Easier said than done sometimes, but...
Yeah, for sure. And then in the moment, she mentioned these vagal maneuvers.
Okay, what are those? Sounds technical again.
They're actually pretty simple things you can do to stimulate your vagus nerve. This nerve is a huge player in your parasympathetic nervous system, the calming system.
Ah, the brakes again.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So stimulating it helps hit the brakes. Examples she gave were things like brief cold exposure, splashing cold water on your face, even holding an ice pack.
Huh.
Humming can do it too. And specific breathing patterns are really effective vagal maneuvers.
Like the box breathing she mentioned. In for 4, hold 4, out 4, hold 4.
Yep, that one. Or the 4-7-8 breath. In for 4, hold for 7, and a long, slow exhale for 8 counts. That slow exhale is really key for activating the calming response.
It really keeps coming back to managing the reaction, doesn't it?
It really does. You can't always stop the trigger, but you absolutely can learn techniques to manage your response and stop it from spiraling.
Okay, so beyond those specific techniques, Dr. Marks also talked about broader tools, mind, body, and behavior tools. What were some of the mind tools?
These are often things rooted in cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT, designed to help you kind of short-circuit anxiety in the moment. Grounding exercises are a big one.
Like focusing on your senses.
Exactly, like really tuning into your surroundings, maybe counting all the blue things you can see or naming 5 things you can hear right now. It just pulls your focus out of the anxious thoughts and into the present moment.
Simple but effective.
Yeah.
What about behavioral tools?
Well, she mentioned coloring, actually. Just the act of coloring can be surprisingly calming for general anxiety. It's focusing occupies the mind.
Okay.
And then there's gradual exposure, which we touched on with phobias, but it applies more broadly. Like if networking events freak you out,
Yeah.
you create a ladder of steps. Maybe step 1 is just driving to the venue and sitting in the car park. Step 2 is walking inside for 5 minutes. Step 3 is saying hello to one person. You build up slowly.
So you're proving to yourself, bit by bit, that you can handle it, building that confidence.
Exactly right. She described anxiety really well as like fear or uncertainty plus doubt in your ability to cope.
Fear plus doubt. Okay.
Exposure, done the right way, tackles that doubt. It shows you, hey, I can handle this, and that breaks the cycle of avoidance.
Makes sense. Now, we absolutely have to talk about lifestyle factors. Dr. Marks really hammered home how crucial sleep, diet, and exercise are for managing anxiety.
Oh, hugely important, and not just in a vague, be healthy way. These things have direct biological impacts on your brain and your anxiety levels.
Okay, like diet. How does that connect?
Well, things like high sugar, lots of processed foods, they can increase inflammation throughout your body, including potentially impacting your brain. They can also mess with your gut bacteria.
The gut-brain axis.
Exactly. And that gut microbiome sends signals to your brain. If it's out of whack, those signals might actually worsen anxiety. There's even epigenetic effects, how your genes are expressed.
Wow. Okay, and sleep. That feels like an obvious one, but why is it so critical?
Sleep deprivation just flat out worsens your baseline anxiety level, makes everything feel harder. Sleep is when your brain does crucial repair work, consolidates memories, processes information. Skimp on sleep, and your brain's ability to cope with stress just plummets.
Got it. And exercise.
Exercise is fantastic. It boosts something called BDNF, brain-derived neurotrophic factor.
EDNF?
Think of it like fertilizer for your brain cells. It helps with nerve regeneration, neuroplasticity, basically making your brain more adaptable and resilient, including against anxiety. It helps rewire things in a positive way.
So those lifestyle pieces are really foundational. Now, the conversation then shifted, and this was super interesting, to the link between ADHD and anxiety.
Yeah, this is a big one. And Dr. Marks pointed out it's often bidirectional. ADHD can absolutely cause secondary anxiety.
How so?
Well, think about it. If you struggle with organization of thought, planning, follow through, common in ADHD, you can constantly feel like you're dropping balls, like you're out of control. That feeling itself is incredibly anxiety provoking.
Yeah, I can absolutely see that. Feeling like you're always behind or can't keep up.
Right. And that relates to what's called executive dysfunction in ADHD. Struggles with time management, organization, working memory, even regulating emotions. All of those can directly fuel anxiety. Managing the underlying ADHD can often reduce that anxiety significantly.
She also mentioned dopamine levels being different in ADHD, particularly in the prefrontal cortex.
Yes. The prefrontal cortex is like the brain's CEO, responsible for things like impulse control and managing emotional responses from the amygdala, the fear center.
Okay.
In ADHD, research suggests lower dopamine activity in this area can make it harder for the prefrontal cortex to put the brakes on the amygdala. So you might get hijacked by fear or anxiety more easily.
And that could also explain the rumination, getting stuck in those negative thought loops.
Exactly. Difficulty shifting attention is a hallmark of ADHD. So when a negative thought pops up, it can be much harder to disengage and move on, leading to that spiraling.
It's all so interconnected. What about the fact that we seem to hear about more adults getting ADHD diagnoses now? Is it actually increasing?
Dr. Marks suggested, and this aligns with a lot of expert opinion, that it's likely not a true increase in prevalence, but much more about increased recognition and understanding of what ADHD looks like in adults.
So it was always there, just missed.
Often, yes. Historically, it was seen mainly as a childhood condition, especially the hyperactive type. The inattentive type, more common in girls and adults, was often overlooked or misdiagnosed as anxiety or depression. Plus, less stigma means more people are seeking help.
And she tackled that comment you hear a lot. Oh, everyone's distracted these days. You don't have ADHD.
Right. And there's a huge difference between, being distracted by your phone sometimes and the pervasive life-impacting challenges of ADHD. She described a typical day, the struggle to initiate tasks, stay focused unless it's something intensely interesting.
Hyperfocus.
Exactly. The ability to hyperfocus on high-interest things, but finding it almost physically painful to focus on mundane but necessary stuff like chores or admin.
Why is that?
Again, it likely relates to dopamine and the brain's reward circuitry. Highly stimulating activities provide that dopamine hit, making it easier to engage. Less interesting tasks don't, making sustained attention incredibly difficult.
And that difficulty with task switching, set shifting you mentioned.
Yeah, smoothly transitioning from one task to another can be really hard. It takes more mental energy. And then there's time blindness, chronically underestimating how long things take.
That sounds stressful in itself.
It is. And these things can cause real problems in relationships too. If a non-ADHD partner misinterprets forgetfulness or difficulty paying attention to details as lack of caring rather than a neurodevelopmental difference.
She mentioned examples like lists everywhere, leaving cupboards open, saving tons of articles, but never reading them.
Yes, all relatable signs of that struggle to organize, prioritize, and control where attention goes.
Okay, now another related area she discussed was body-focused repetitive behaviors, BFRBs. What exactly are those?
So BFRBs are things like skin-picking dermatillomania or hair-pulling trichotillomania, but they also include kind of lower-level habits like chronic nail biting, cuticle biting, cheek biting.
And why do people do them? Is it an anxiety thing?
It can be. Dr. Marks explained it can serve different functions. For some, it is a form of self-soothing for anxiety. But for others, particularly with ADHD, it might actually be a way to increase stimulation for an under-aroused brain. It provides sensory input.
Huh. So it could be calming or stimulating.
Potentially, yeah. And that lack of awareness or time blindness common in ADHD can mean someone engages in these behaviors for ages without even realizing it.
So how do you manage them? She mentioned habit reversal.
Right. Habit reversal training involves becoming aware of the triggers and then consciously substituting a different, less harmful behavior. Like if you pick your scare while watching TV, maybe you wear gloves or fidget with a stress ball instead.
Okay, now, slightly different but sometimes confused. Tics, what are they?
Tics are sudden, rapid, involuntary movements. Motor tics or sounds, vocal tics.
Like blinking, grimacing, or throat clearing, sniffing.
Exactly. And it's important to distinguish between having some tics and having Tourette's syndrome, which involves multiple motor and vocal tics present for a longer time.
And how do the tics relate to anxiety or ADHD?
Dr. Marks noted that anxiety usually makes tics worse. Unlike some BFRBs, tics aren't typically seen as self-soothing. They're involuntary.
Okay.
And there is a higher rate of tics in people with ADHD. The exact reason isn't fully known, but might involve shared brain pathways or dopamine sensitivity. Interestingly, stimulant meds for ADHD can sometimes worsen tics in some individuals.
Let me go to monitor. How do you tell the tic from a BFRB?
The key is that tics feel largely involuntary. Trying to suppress them often leads to this buildup of inner tension that's only relieved by letting the tic happen. BFRBs might feel more compulsive or automatic, but perhaps less fundamentally involuntary.
Got it. Okay, last big topic. Procrastination and perfectionism, especially with ADHD and anxiety. Procrastination.
Yeah.
So common.
Oh, yeah. And in this context, Dr. Marks explained it can stem from multiple things. Lower motivation related to executive function issues in ADHD, definitely. But also, an accumulation of past negative experiences or failures can lead to performance anxiety.
So you put it off because you're scared of failing again.
Exactly. Or just feeling completely overwhelmed by the sheer size or complexity of a task. That feeling of, where do I even start? Can be paralyzing.
I think everyone can relate to that overwhelmed feeling. She offered a simple trick though, right? The 5-minute rule.
Yes, the 5-minute rule. The idea is just commit to starting the dreaded task for only 5 minutes. Give yourself full permission to stop after 5 minutes if you still hate it.
But the hope is?
The hope is that just starting often breaks the inertia. Once you're 5 minutes in, it might not seem so bad, and you might just keep going. It lowers that initial barrier.
I like that. Very practical. Okay, so wrapping up this whole deep dive, which was incredibly rich, what are the main things you'd want someone listening to take away?
I think, firstly, a shift in mindset. Moving away from feeling like you need to be fixed and towards understanding your own unique operating system. Then implementing strategies to manage things and improve your quality of life. That's huge.
Okay, mindset shift. What else?
Secondly, and maybe even most importantly, based on what Dr. Marks emphasized, prioritize sleep. It is absolutely foundational. And right behind sleep, maybe tied with it, is diet.
Okay.
What you eat profoundly impacts your brain and body's ability to cope.
Sleep and diet, non-negotiables.
Pretty much. And exercise, too, of course, boosting that BDNF. Those lifestyle pieces are critical.
And if someone wants to take just one actionable step after listening,
maybe just take a quick personal inventory. How's your sleep, really? Your diet, your movement, and then pick one small, genuinely manageable change to try this month.
like what?
Could be anything. Setting a consistent bedtime alarm, swapping one sugary drink for water each day, going for one 10-minute walk a week, just one small win. Small wins build momentum.
That feels really doable. And I loved Dr. Mart's final message, that idea of being kind to yourself. You're not defective, you're unique.
Exactly. Understanding your operating system gives you the power to work with it, not constantly fight against it. It allows you to take control back.
We really are so grateful to Dr. Tracy Marks for sharing all that incredible expertise.
Absolutely. Her work is so valuable.
And thank you, our listener, for joining us, for digging into this with us, and for investing this time in your own well-being. If this resonated, maybe share it with someone you care about.
Yeah.
Remember, that self-awareness plus those small, consistent changes, they really can lead to significant improvements. So the question to leave you with is, what's one small step you'll take today?